God damn, it just keeps getting better and better by the day. I swear, not even a week goes by without some terrible news surrounding Battlefield 5, and I fucking love it.
Fuck it! Hello, old friend.
Another day, another bad piece of news for the train wreck known as Battlefield 5. At this point, though, it's just hilarious what a complete failure this game has turned out to be for both DICE and EA in this entire situation, and is well-deserved after all the bullshit surrounding the game leading up to launch. As you saw by the title, though, Battlefield 5 sales are lower than that of Battlefield Hardline. You know, that mediocre cops and robbers Battlefield spin-off game developed by Visceral Games, the now extinct developer of Dead Space, and basically EA decided to completely close down the studio because EA openly despises single-player story-driven experiences, and after they failed to transition into a games-as-a-service multiplayer developer with Battlefield Hardline, EA basically threw them under the bus and fired all of them without hesitation. That aside, this is definitely just another sign of how poorly Battlefield 5 is performing in terms of sales numbers. So the source of this information this time is coming from the site VG Charts in an article titled Battlefield 5 sells an estimated 1.4 million units first week at retail. And just glancing at the title, it is apparent how badly this game is performing. For a franchise like Battlefield, selling only a little over 1 million copies in the first week at retail is absolutely embarrassing. But what makes this situation even worse is when we look at the details of the article itself, because in the article they list the first week sales numbers for the previous entries in the Battlefield franchise just for comparison, and let's just say that Battlefield 5 doesn't exactly stack up to the rest of the mainline entries into the Battlefield franchise, and you're gonna notice a very, very startling trend here. So let's go ahead and go through this list. So at number 1 with 4.68 million units sold is Battlefield 3, my personal favorite in the franchise. At number 2 is Battlefield 1 with 2.8 million units sold. Number 3 is Battlefield 4 with 2.72 million. And coming in at number 4 is Battlefield Hardline with 1.51 million sold. That's quite a drop off there. And of course, in 5th place, right behind Battlefield Hardline, is Battlefield 5 with a less than impressive 1.4 million sold. But hey, at least they did manage to outsell Battlefield Bad Company 2 barely by those measly 10,000 units. So this gives us a pretty grim picture of Battlefield 5 and their overall state of the Battlefield franchise as of recent. Not only did Battlefield 5 sell less than a poorly received spin-off, but it's obvious the game sold less than 50% at retail compared to Battlefield 1, which released just 2 years ago with a smaller install base of console players, which you might want to note is the primary makeup of the retail market. Most PC players have been buying digital games for years now, and sure, you could argue that there could be a shift to digital by console players, but the majority of people on console still buy their games physically, and this just shows you a massive drop in the sales number of Battlefield, no matter how you look at it. Either way, this is something that you do not see from a franchise of the caliber of Battlefield. Most of the time, mainline sequels sell either close to or better than the previous entry in the series, especially like a franchise like Battlefield, where we've seen the game continuously sell over 2 million copies until Battlefield 5. So there is something going on here, and this is most likely a trend that also carried over to digital as well. But overall, this is just another example out of the many different situations that we've seen from different sources that EA basically got exactly what they asked for when they told us uneducated woman haters out here to not buy the game in their desperate attempt to cater to an audience that, despite their best efforts to appease, only has an interest in complaining about the lack of representation in video games rather than actually buying and playing the games they love to bitch about constantly and try to change. I mean, it's not like we've seen this unfold several times in many different media industries with franchises like Star Wars, for example, but hey, you know, some people just can't take a fucking hint. But anyway, let's take a look at the comments on this article real quick, because honestly, they're just funny as hell. Well, they did tell people not to buy it. Correct you are. This gives me a real feeling of pride and accomplishment. That's right, us woman haters over here, another another round of applause. I mean, we did a fantastic fucking job in this entire situation. Good stuff, people voting with their wallets. But on the upside, at least that game director won't have to explain to his daughter why there weren't female soldiers in those battles in World War II. I mean, you are so right here, man. Losing potentially hundreds of millions of dollars is definitely a much more desirable situation than having to sit down with your daughter and explain to her that men were the primary combat force in World War II. I mean, I would definitely take the loss on the money. Personally, I mean, I could never face myself if I had to tell my daughter the truth about history. I mean, that just sounds like an awful situation. Sorry, EA, I would have bought the game, but then I realized I was too uneducated. That seems to be a very common problem, and they really should have planned better for that. I mean, us gamers out here, we're just very stupid people, and you know, EA should have accommodated for that, honestly. I mean, what is this intelligence discrimination that they were practicing? I mean, it's just absolutely despicable. I thought this was everyone's Battlefield. Is this game in trouble? Well, not if selling millions less than the other entries in the series is something you were looking for. Lower than Hardline for first week serves them right, and something tells me the sales got worse thereafter. Well, I would hope so, but probably those 50% off sales did help boost those numbers a little bit, but who the hell knows? I would like to think that people would stand by their morals and not buy this heaping pile of shit, but you never know. But anyway, the initial hit was more than enough to satisfy me. I'm just happy to watch this game fail. Now, I think it's worth mentioning, just for the sake of possibly preventing the inevitable comments from angry Battlefield fanboys trying to call me out, but it is worth noting that VG Charts is not exactly the most reputable source out there for sales numbers. They're kind of hit or miss sometimes, but generally they give a good insight into the overall trend surrounding the sales numbers of certain games. But regardless, what this does is it continues a trend of terrible Battlefield 5 news, in which the game is reported to have sold substantially worse than Battlefield 1, whether it be the sales being down 63% in the UK, or reports of sales being down around 50% worldwide from a number of different sources. On top of that, we saw the game heavily discounted within a week of release at most major retailers that were stuck with a large quantity of physical copies, as well as several digital marketplaces including Origin discounting the game by nearly 50% less than 2 weeks after launch. In fact, just to further slap those people who did buy the game day one in the face, EA had a 50% off deal if you owned any of the previous Battlefield games in the series for, quote, loyal Battlefield fans. Just not those loyal Battlefield fans who actually bothered to go out and support the game day one. You know, that's just a classic fucking EA move right there. It's definitely a great idea to spit in the face of the people who actually bothered to buy this piece of shit game that wasn't even finished at launch, and you know, completely throw them under the bus and discount the game within a couple weeks for 50% off for, quote, loyal Battlefield fans. I think only EA could pull a fucking stunt like this, and honestly, it's absolutely insane because even when this game launched, it launched as an incomplete game. A lot of the content was missing from the game at launch. I think 25% of the campaign was missing, and it took them damn near a month to add it, as well as a couple other multiplayer modes. In fact, we're still waiting for DICE and EA to add the Battle Royale mode to the game, which they have slated to release in March at the very earliest. I have no clue how the fuck it takes 4 months in order to add a simple Battle Royale mode with only 64 players, but I don't know. So we're still waiting on that. That was promised to you in the purchase price of the game, so it's absolutely mind-blowing. This game is a failure on so many different levels, and then to top it off, they slapped the people who actually went out and supported the game day one in the face by discounting it by 50% within a few weeks after launch for, quote, loyal Battlefield fans. God, this game is such a fucking joke. Luckily though for us, karma is a bitch and it bit EA squarely in the ass just like they deserve, and EA stock is down nearly 50% from about 6 months ago in July. That's right, this whole string of disappointing news surrounding Battlefield 5's pre-orders and sales numbers has forced EA to adjust their expected earnings down not only once but twice in the past quarter alone to adjust for the less than positive reaction to the game and of course the following week's sales. Not only that, but games like FIFA have not been performing as well as EA expected, and it seems like those games are plateauing in their profitability, causing investors to lose faith in EA's ability to continuously improve profits year after year despite the controversy surrounding their games. This all started with Battlefront 2, a game also developed by DICE, by the way, and it started a trend where people are done putting up with EA's shit and are finally speaking with their wallets and not buying their games. The future for EA is not looking great, with really their only big game for 2019 being Anthem, which is being developed by BioWare, a studio that has its own share of controversy surrounding the release of the dumpster fire known as Mass Effect Andromeda, where developers were openly racist against white people, which is always a great idea. You know, go after a certain race of people, that always ends well. And then the game launched as a damn near unplayable mess, with a mediocre story at that. Anthem really hasn't built up much hype around it either, since many are just instantly writing it off as just another Destiny clone. Regardless though, EA is just in a shitty situation that can only be blamed on their own greed and total disconnect from the community that they expect to pay for their games. Hopefully this entire thing serves as one big wake-up call to the company, because once those FIFA and NFL contracts expire in the next few years and your games continue to disappoint in sales, EA may have to legitimately reevaluate their entire presence in the gaming industry. But for the time being, this is yet another W for the Battlefield fans who are sick of this pompous attitude coming from both DICE and EA during this entire controversy surrounding Battlefield 5. And as we can see, it completely blew up in their face and it feels wonderful. This entire headline is just another reminder of the sweet, sweet success that we, the gaming community, can have when we come together and don't put up with the bullshit from a company like EA. But with that said, I just want to say thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to check out this video, and I hope you guys are having a very happy new year. I want to say thank you all so much for all the happy new years that were directed my way. That was really fucking awesome. I'm still sick right now. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. This Northern Virginia weather, I'm actually at home at my parents' house right now. It just doesn't fucking agree with me, and I have no clue, but I am sick as hell right now. Still trying to make videos, still trying to get some new content out there, so pardon my voice. But anyway, guys, quick shameless plug. Go follow me on Twitter at Griffin_gaming, or link in the description. That is a great place to interact with me, and I'm very active on Twitter, and you can hear my opinion on stuff before I can ever make a video on it. So yeah, go follow me there. Link in the description, or at Griffin_gaming. But anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you all so much, as always, for watching this video, and I will catch you guys next time.